Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning. All right, you guys, these accusations against Meghan have reared their ugly head again. They keep going like over 4 years. So this is literally comprehensive coverage from beginning to end because there might be something in here you're unaware of. And because it's so long, it's split into two. So there's 2 videos today. Let's jump in. Let's go. Really quickly, though, before we do that, remember I did a story on Casey Anthony the other day and the fact that she stole some married guy? Well, come to find out, he was caught trying to hook up with other women after she moved to Tennessee to be with him. But you know what you say, you lose them as you find them. The New York Post says that 2 different women have stepped forward after the news about Casey Anthony dating him broke. And he's using some dating app called Hinge and trying to hook up with them since he's been involved with Miss Anthony. So, all right, let's move on. And next up, I want to say something about 2 of my subscribers who pointed out that, George has been flying since 11 and Zara Tindall was getting ready for the Olympics at age 11. Seriously, some of your comments are just hysterical. All right, let's move on now to our story. So the bullying that we're talking about, and the reason that this is still continuing is because we're not talking about the UK staff, we're talking about the staff in the United States, that this has continued, this pattern of behavior has continued. So let's go back, though, to the UK and cover just a smidge of history so that you guys really understand what the heck is going on here, okay? It was reported that before the wedding, there was several run-ins with staff. Catherine had to say something to Meghan when she abused a member of her staff. And of course, before the wedding, we know that Meghan wanted a wedding cake that didn't have eggs in it, and the cook made one and brought it out. And she said, "There's egg in this. I can taste it. There's egg in this." And she was so rude to the man who had made the cake that the Queen had to pull her aside and say, "Meghan, we don't talk to people like that." There was the story that right after her engagement, she ordered some blankets as gifts for people that were at the Sandringham shooting party, and they came back the wrong color of red, and she went absolutely crazy on her assistant. The stories came out about her having hyper-specific demands and how she'd yell at them if if the staff didn't meet them, and Harry described some of that in The Spare. So since she became the Duchess of Sussex, she had lost approximately 9 staff members, not including, of course, the nannies that were fired. Remember, when Harry and Meghan left, they claimed that it was William's bullying attitude, which was why they left, and they never corrected that narrative. We later found out that the bullying of the UK staff was noticed by somebody, and that was Jason Knauf. We found out later on he was the go-between between Omid Scobie and Meghan Markle, but the reason this all popped up was because of the email that he wrote. So he wrote an email to somebody who is now a parliament member. And what he said in that email was shocking. He said that basically she was bullying staff, that she had bullied 2 PAs out of their jobs, and that she always seemed intent on having somebody in her sights. It basically stated that there was report after report after report after report of inappropriate behavior by Meghan Markle. And it was also reported that when Harry heard about the complaint, he met with Jason Knauf and begged him not to pursue it. You all need to remember that this took place right before the Oprah show, and that's when Meghan put out a statement that she was saddened by this latest attack on her character because she herself has been the target of bullying and she is committed to supporting people in their trauma. Upon the allegations coming out that Meghan bullied the UK staff, the Queen and her household decided to launch an investigation. Previous staff have started queuing up to assist in this bullying probe. I think everybody wanted to have their say. The second Meghan Markle found out about the investigation, she immediately lawyered up and started making demands that she wanted to see the messages and the text messages, and she wanted to see the proof that the palace had. This is before the evidence had even been collected. This is right at the beginning. She was also demanding the names of everybody who was going to be participating. The palace gave her absolutely nothing. They used an outside law firm to run this investigation, and those NDAs those people signed were not with Meghan herself, but I believe they were with the palace. Allegations later came out. I guess we can guess where they came from, that this was being done by William, but that was denied. Megan's attorney then came out and said Megan's not a bully. And she went on a BBC documentary and used a lot of word salad. She stated, bullying is using improper use of power repeatedly and deliberately to hurt somebody. It seems like Meghan Markle's attorney is playing word games, because now instead of saying there's no bullying, she said there was no intentional hurting of someone, which implies that she probably did hurt somebody, but she's going to claim it wasn't intentional. There was an allegation also that Meghan reached out to Mr. Knauf separately after the investigation started, and her attorney had to tell her, don't do that. So I'm sure you guys have all seen this. This is extremely edited down because it was really long, but this is Valentine Lowe and what he had to say.
There were a lot of stories over the years suggesting that Meghan was difficult to work with. There were reports of staff leaving. There were reports of staff in tears. And now these allegations have come forward. We know that actually there was substance to them. That these people who felt they were bullied, who left their jobs, are still in an emotionally fragile and fraught state today. People are in tears on a regular basis, as far as I can hear. Faced with the prospect of a difficult meeting with the Duchess, people said things like, I feel sick, I'm shaking, it's ridiculous. 2.5 years ago, this advisor to the Duchess submitted these allegations in writing. They went to his boss, he passed them on to HR, and as far as we can tell, can't know for absolute certain, but as far as we can tell, nothing was done. It would be entirely wrong to characterise this as the War of the Windsors. This is not about Buckingham Palace as an institution fighting back against Harry and Meghan. Meghan's had it all her own way. She's portrayed herself as a victim. She wanted to portray herself as a victim from the start. She was always craving rejection so that she could say to Harry, listen, our life is unbearable here. And there's only one answer, and that's to leave the country and go and live in the United States.
So people were all in a tizzy. Was this real? Was it not? They were doing a very thorough investigation, outside of the palace in the law firm. One of the people who finally came forward and confirmed she was one of the people interviewed was Samantha the Panther Cohen, who we know worked for the Queen and worked with the royal family for years, and later said that working for Harry and Meghan was like working for a bunch of teenagers. She claimed she left the job after being treated harshly. It was Jason Knauf who sent an email that was leaked to the Times where he said that he was concerned about Miss Cohen. He said she had extreme stress, and he said, and I'm quoting, I questioned if the household policy on bullying and harassment applies to principals, which means, members of the royal family. Now, we know what happened. This came out right before the Oprah show. And of course, Meghan played victim and said that this was being used by the palace to peddle the false narrative because this is misleading and harmful information. Remember, she was crying into her pillow again and woke Harry up. The big problem is not even that Meghan might have bullied somebody. It's what happened with the institution. The institution protected Meghan constantly. And the men in gray suits, who she hates, now have a lot to answer for because they did nothing to protect the people. Now, Jenny Affia said the allegations were untrue and did not match her experience of her. All right, you guys, that's the end of part 1. So hit the button and then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to part 2. You don't want to miss this. Let's go.